Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the instant reaction on the Cannon podcast. Arsenal 4, Portsmouth 1 at Fratton Park. No George today, unfortunately. We are joined by James.
By just James or Kepa today. Because David Raya is, I don't know, where is Raya today? George Fustas.
Are you saying he looks like Raya?
No. He's the starting goalkeeper, of course.
We're
using the full squad here.
We're using the full squad. I thought you'd do the Calafiori, but he said he looked like Calafiori.
Yeah,
we don't mock him enough for that, I feel.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to allow him that.
Yeah, it's like the difference between being brought up in British schools and American schools or Canadian schools.
Yeah,
I feel it's the thing there. We are here on the instant reaction. Thank you all for joining us. Let's get straight into it. Thank you for joining us, James. Let's start with your headline, please. Arsenal are straight through to the fourth round of the FA Cup after a interesting game that sort of turned into a bit of fun. Second half FC strike again. Give us your headline, please, Hannes.
I can't say it's an awfully exciting one, but it would be Havertz holds the key.
Oh.
And we only saw 20 minutes of him. But my goodness, they were a special 20 minutes. And you know the thing with Gordon Ramsay when he's with kids and adults? And it's like, oh, don't worry. And then he's with adults, you idiot sandwich.
You donkey.
That's what it felt like with Havertz today. He made like a first touch and it squirms away from him. It's like, hey, you're only coming back from injury. And then he does something else and you go, wow, that's fantastic. And then the guy that was watching from the bench, I feel a bit bad for him, but I think Havertz is going to be our starting centre forward for the rest of the season as soon as he's fit again.
I think so. I was purring over every touch, just going, oh my goodness. Oh my, he played a 5-yard pass. There was a really nice ball in behind for Madueke, and there was another ball he played. It was like a little bit of play in the centre. It was just like a pass off Odegaard and then a pass out wide. But it's the efficiency that I think we've missed for a long time, and then the presence that maybe Jesus.
Yeah, as you say, the presence. It's also just the availability. Like these midfielders will look forward, and they're not seeing a guy wrestling, and they're not seeing a guy behind a player. They're seeing someone they can use as a backboard, someone they can play off, and that's why we're playing with 11 men with Havertz on the pitch, and sometimes 10.5 when Gyökeres is on the pitch, because he's trying to make that run. But even if you play him through, it's not coming off. So. I don't want to spend all episode talking about this. I was listening to the last episode, and I know we've been through this already.
But it's the kind of the word. It's the soup du jour, isn't it? So, but we'll try not to cover it too much. My headline is confidence reborn. I think a number of players. It's not necessarily that we've lost them necessarily this season, but I think there's just a number of players that look through. I think Lewis-Skelly grew into the game. I think Ben White grew into the game. I think Marino grew into the game. I think Nwaneri grew into the game. Madueke, I think the missed penalty was obviously unfortunate. Martinelli, but there's a number of players there who I look at and go, not that we've lost you, but you've not probably played them as many minutes as you'd like. And I thought it was really good. Look, ultimately, your body and your nervous system doesn't know the difference between Portsmouth and whatever. You're playing football, and you need to play football to get a rhythm and get some confidence sort of in your body, and you could feel that through the game. And I'm really pleased because I think we're going to need the squad. I'm not buzzing about the result or to get through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. You kind of expect that. I suppose what I am excited about and what I feel is the big positive is the consistency across all 4 competitions. Obviously, we're going to see whether that's going to be tested on Tuesday night. Is it? We play Wednesday night. Wednesday night we play Chelsea. But yeah, just professional performances. We're top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League. We're through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. We're through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. And we keep rolling on. And look, maybe this is a good place to start with the analysis. Like the first half of the game, I think there's reasons to be a little bit frustrated. I think maybe the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I didn't think we managed perfectly. I think that's fair to say. I think in these sorts of games, I'm always keen to be like, just the first 10, they're obviously going to be up for it. It's going to be bouncing. It's going to be, so just don't try and play passes into the midfield, don't play that central pass, just go long, waste a bit of time, sort of slow things down, win a couple of free kicks, etc. And I didn't feel we did that. I feel we were trying to play our football right from the off, and I think that's where the goal comes from. But other than that, I just felt we slowly, in a group of players who hadn't played together, slowly began to understand each other, get some rhythm. It wasn't pretty, absolutely, at times, and we could talk about that more widely in the squad. But for this performance, I just felt we sort of got better and better as the game went on, and that's kind of what I expected.
I think, as you say as well, it's an interesting almost paradox, because you've got players on the pitch who want to make a statement and want to make a point and say, we don't want to just hoof it forward, we want to play through Portsmouth. We're good enough to play through Portsmouth's press, of course, but at the same time, you are right. The logical thing to do, because their press was very high, but also very intense. So it's like a kid fighting you. Just let them tire themselves out, basically. And you could see that they were exerting themselves like crazy. We were overplaying a bit, but just kind of get through the first 20 minutes, find your rhythm, and the quality will shine through. And yeah, the fact that we can change 10 players from our last game and the quality is still that high. We've got Madueke, Eza starting, like the players we had on the pitch. Someone said to me before the match, are you not worried about Marino in the six? And I'm thinking, come on now, like, look at the quality we have. We will win these games. And of course, maybe there will be freak instances where we don't win the game. But even when we conceded, I was very, very calm, just thinking we have enough quality to get through this. And for the most part, as you say, these players kind of grew into confidence over the game. The one player who, I know you said he did grow into the game, I still think struggled a little bit, was Lewis-Skelly. And I do think it's interesting. I think he's such a confidence player. And I think that's almost become to his detriment, because he was flying high and his whole game relies on this confidence and relies on him having belief in his ability. And because he hasn't played much this season, I think he's second guessing himself, even if it's very easy to say, oh, surely he's seeing a psychologist and they can talk through this. The proof is on the pitch. Unless the results start speaking for themselves, it's going to affect you, especially because he was dropped from the England squad as well. So all of these factors coming against him, and then the frustration of things aren't coming off on the pitch, it becomes a negative spiral, and it will take him playing himself into form. And I think that's hopefully what we're seeing from Arteta. I'm torn whether I think he should start on Wednesday against Chelsea, but yeah, I think by the end of the game, he definitely grown in stature a little bit from the start, because he was getting targeted at the start and you could see it.
Yeah. Specifically on Lewis-Skelly, because I want to go back to something else in a second, but just while we're on him, there's two things specifically, well, maybe three points I want to make about him. The first is the one we kind of made on the last instant reaction, which I still see, and that is I just feel a level of disengagement from the game to some degree. Two habits he has at the minute, which is starting to frustrate me. He's really good at winning fouls in sort of when the balls comes almost over his head and he allows the player to foul him, and it does slow the game down. But you don't always want that. I think sometimes what's happened is he's made a mistake, maybe 2 or 3 actions before. He's made some kind of error, whether he's allowed the ball to bounce, or maybe, the wingers started the run and he's sort of waited for a second and gone, okay, no, I need to start running now. He'll make some kind of error, and then he'll get himself out of jail with that foul thing, which fares, and he does it consistently. But when you have, for example, in this game, Portsmouth are right pressed up against us and they're pressing really, really high, you've got advantages and spaces all over the pitch where if you can get an out ball, if Lewis-Skelly can turn, which is one of his skills, if he can turn and get a ball out, we're away. So it frustrates me, and I understand why he does it, but it's one of those things. And the second thing is, I do feel if you're not the quickest player in the world, you need to anticipate the ball better. And he is a little bit behind, in music, you say, like behind the beat. Like he's a little bit off. I always remember when George and I did a scouted on Brian and Buemo, and you watch him and we would pause it. So the ball would be, I don't know, comes off someone's foot. Who's the first to react? It's always Buemo. And Buemo is quick, but the reason he thrives on the transition so much is he has the quickness, but also the quickness of mind. I think Lewis-Skelly always reacts a little bit late, and this is I'm trying to put sort of technical quality to the feeling of disengagement that I'm feeling, and that's what I feel at the minute. It's like he's slightly behind the game at the minute, and that frustrates me.
I also think just lastly on that point quickly, it's also a case of other teams have seen the sample size of him. They've now been able to analyze him and they've seen that weakness in his game that he's not so sharp onto that. So they will gamble. And then once you combine those factors, the fact that they're gambling, he's slow in the thought and slow physically, then more often than not, you're getting wingers coming in behind, targeting him. He's struggling. And then again, as I say, it's becoming a thing now. I believe you've said as well, his long-term future, in my opinion, is in midfield. And I think we see that over time. It's a shame that we haven't seen it once, because I'm shocked that we haven't seen it happen a few times. It's not a new experiment. It's what he used to do all the time. You'd think in training they'd have worked on it or something. But as I say, I don't know. We still do need him at fullback. So for now, I don't mind. But in the future, I'd be looking to shift him forward.
I think so. And maybe a period where Nkapia and Calafiori are out is what he needs, because I think he needs a bit of that importance back. You know what I mean? And maybe that will make him just flip that little bit. But he's got a decent burst. And if you use that burst, that's great. But I think the point you're making about wingers, like what I'm seeing is wingers are getting... They're sprinting sooner against him. They're saying, well, I'm going to get into my run sooner because you can get me on a burst, but I know over a larger distance and when I hit my top speed, I'm there. He needs to snuff things out sooner. And he was doing that last season. So I think there's an engagement thing. We can do sort of individual analysis, because I think, like, you know, for me, my overall take on this game is we should be winning this. I see people frustrated with the set piece thing and, like, you know, oh, maybe there was some against the press we couldn't quite play out. But I don't know when you change 10 players, I don't know what you're expecting other than a little bit of stodginess. If you want to critique that against Liverpool, I'm here to chat to you about that. But we're playing with completely back five, different front three, all those sorts of things. So for me, it's all about analysing individuals and the fact that we did end up with a scoreline that our quality deserved. And as you say, I think that the quality is always the point. You want moments like the corners and the deliveries from there, or the pass through from Havertz or whatever, to make the difference, or the 1v1 quality of Madueke to cause that penalty. That's what you're looking for in these types of games. So let's go through the squad and sort of talk about that individual quality. I think starting with Martinelli, he obviously got the hat-trick. Really, really pleased for him. As you said, bizarre, he didn't celebrate, but okay. I thought he had a really clinical afternoon. I didn't think necessarily he was particularly good 1v1, or I think there's a number of runs he was making in behind that Eze couldn't quite find, who'll come to a little bit later. But I just love that clinicality. I think he probably had 4 chances and he converted 3.
It's very striker's instinct, isn't it? Some of the goals we see of him, and I do look at it and I think, why have we not tried him up front? But anyway, it's really interesting actually, because I ran the stats after the game and he's scored 8 goals in the Champions League and the FA Cup now in 360 minutes or something, and he has scored 1 goal in 500 minutes of Premier League football. So we've already known that he's more suited to cup football. He's more suited to large spaces. We've seen him struggle in the Premier League this season. I don't think, as you say, just to reflect what you mentioned, I don't think he had his best game overall. But when you put 3 goals in the back of the net, who cares? There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. He loves his cup football, as I say.
Comment.
And good for his confidence as well, because it's been a while since we played in the Champions League, and in the Prem, whether he was starting or coming off the bench, you haven't been feeling that inevitability factor. And then when you add up him, Gyökeres and Saka, who aren't scoring, then you're looking at the attack thinking, who is going to deliver? So hopefully that will give him a little bit of confidence and we can build from there.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also the point we were making before we spoke about Martinelli is linked. Like we're looking at a more individualistic game in this, and less against a structured defense. It's more open, and it's more about sort of instincts and quality, and that's where Martinelli can show himself. And I think that is true in the Champions League and in the cup competitions, that the games are a little bit more open. You're looking more for individuals and that's why Martinelli thrives. I think my feeling about Martinelli is like, I think he's hit a bit of a ceiling in his development, and I'd be okay to move him on. I think I would, but my issue is I think he's very unique in our squad. I don't think we have a profile like him, and so for me, it's a kind of sell to buy situation with Martinelli. If we're going to get rid of him, I'm kind of okay with that, because I think there's better profiles of his ilk out there. But equally, we need to replace it. I don't know exactly who that would be, whether you look at more physical outlook like a Leao or more of a creative outlook like a Yildiz. It's up to you, and people will decide what they think. But he is quite unique in our team, and yeah, I can't count how many times George, especially, but all of us on the pod have said he needs a little run at centre forward. And I think if he'd been given 5 games while Havertz and Jesus were out, I think we'd be having very, very different conversations. I don't understand why.
Yeah, as I say, I can't add anything to that conversation in terms of he is one of our best finishers at the club, and he just has that instinct in front of goal. We saw it for the goal that he scored when Jesus assisted. He was in the right place at the right time. We've seen it in the Premier League. Those same balls have come in and flashed across the box, and no one's been there. So it is frustrating, and happy to see Martinelli do well. What I find interesting on the whole selling point of view, though, how much do you think we'd get for him? 40, 50?
I was saying last summer that I would be up for selling Martinelli because I think, and keeping Trossard purely because I think we'd get some good money for him. At the time, I was saying like 60. I don't think you get 60 now. I think
because
last summer,
think if you get 40, 50 for him, I don't think you can replace a player of his quality for 40, 50. Now, I know we're not strapped for cash anymore so much as we can put almost all of our funds into the positions that we need them. But again, if I sold Martinelli for 40 million to Barcelona and he started thriving, I'd be miffed. I'd be thinking, okay, maybe we weren't using him in the perfect way. But we see that in the Champions League, he does thrive.
But by the way, he will. Like, I think he would. Like, if he went to a Bayern or whatever, we all see clips of him on whatever feed we're on and going, oh my God, Martinelli's cooking for them, and why can we get a tune out of him? But you have to trust your own eyes. And it's ultimately down to, okay, do you believe in this coach? Yes or no? Do you want this coach? And do you think this coach will take us to glory? Okay, well, his methodology is this, and it doesn't quite suit that. Yeah. So you can't, and there's not one way to win. So I think Martinelli just doesn't quite suit what
I
would
sell, but only for the right price. I don't think he's someone we need to sell.
No, I agree. And would I don't want to give a stupid example, but there's a lot of players that I don't think would quite work under Arteta who are brilliant footballers, and that's fine. You know what I mean? If you have an issue, I think it's less about let's shoehorn Martinelli into a system that Arteta does, and more about, for me, it's like, okay, well, what does Arteta need? Do we back that? Do we like that?
I'm curious who you're going to say. Vinicius?
A player? No. I had another player.
You've got someone in mind. Didn't you?
I do. I'm not going to say it. Martinelli in a Rafinha role would cook, says LT. I honestly don't think he's got the creative chops of a Rafinha, like the outside the boot balls and all that. He's got a real creative bag, Rafinha. But in terms of the running, maybe. I don't know. Let's come on to another individual, please, James. Let's go with Eza. Maybe a little bit more of a downer one.
I wanted to talk about him, actually.
Go for it, my friend.
I don't know. I was a bit disappointed. I feel like these are the games where there's been a lot of excuses made for him and look, he hasn't played recently. And in previous games before that, we could have used excuses to say maybe it wasn't his type of game. I feel like this game was there for the taking. He really needed to grab it and take this opportunity to make a point. And who knows why he hasn't been playing so much. Maybe it was load management. But he played this game, he started this game, and I thought it was there for him, and he just wasn't able to make much of an impact on the game. And then even Ødegaard came in and was getting more touch to the ball. Nwaneri even, I thought, was better than him on and off the ball. So, yeah, we know Eza's got the talent, but again, whether he's finding his place in this team or it's the application, it's not quite there at the moment for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because when we signed him, I'm not expecting Eza to come in and like run games in an Ødegaard way. I'm expecting him to create moments. And there was actually at the end, I think it was like the 82nd minute or something, he receives it on the edge of the box and gets a shot off like that, and it's a really good save from the keeper. And if he scores that, we're going, well, Eza wasn't particularly, effective, but he's come in and created a moment. And I want that, and that's what I want. And when we signed him, I'm going, oh, finally we've got a player who can come up with these magic moments, etc. And then when you're watching him, you're going, I want more. I think he's sort of a player I think we've lost a little bit. I think maybe he's been lost between positions a little bit. Maybe he's been lost by Odegaard's resurgence recently, and him, I think Odegaard finding a way of working within this Zubimendi Rice thing, which was a question mark. I don't know. I don't know right now. I'm always a bit of a like, what's not to sort of, go, oh, there's a master plan here. But sometimes there is situations where players are being instructed, okay, we're going to work on this aspect of your game. Yeah. And they're being restricted in other areas. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of months it's like Ez has gone through some kind of individual development plan. It doesn't quite feel right. I could be wrong. It could just be terrible form and whatever. I'm not trying to give credit where no credit's due. But it just feels a little bit like there's other parts of his game he's worried about now, is what I see.
And it also might be a reason why he's kind of getting lost in games at the moment, because especially if he's on a physical training plan, the same reason why we took him out of the team, then maybe we're trying to get him back up to speed. I don't know. Also, it doesn't particularly help that Lewis-Skelly didn't have his best game. So in a perfect game, the platform that he builds off is Lewis-Skelly inverting.
Yeah,
he wasn't received. I'd love to know how many balls he received directly from Lewis-Skelly, because I don't think it would have been many. Whether that was the way Portsmouth played or whether that was just the performance of each of them, that's kind of the direct supply line, and it didn't really happen. But I think that's kind of the threat, as getting the ball advanced in those pockets and driving straight at the defence. But it just didn't seem to happen today.
Two more players I want to come to before we come to your super chats and comments. Mikel Merino and Ethan Nwaneri, who I thought both of them had really, really good afternoons. It's Portsmouth, fine. But I think Mikel Merino shows an adventure in his passing that I don't think Zubimendi has. I don't think Rice has. When he gets it on his left, he's so willing to punch that ball through the lines and play players. And there was a chance that Martinelli put wide. That is such a good pass. It's up, back, and through straight away. It's Merino into the midfield, back to him, and straight through to Martinelli. I think in terms of the second, but look, he's got an angle bias, and he's a little bit. I think some of the execution on those passes is a little bit skew whiff, but yeah, I really like watching Merino play. It just feels like quite a unique player, and he's quite obviously he's kind of like Trossard, in the sense that he's quite obviously got limitations, but he knows himself very well. And I don't think he sort of exerts himself. He'll play a pass, but then he's immediately willing to go and collect the second ball or whatever. He's not sort of, I think sometimes young players and other players can kind of really lean into their strengths and forget their weaknesses. But actually he's got this nice balance where I just really like watching him play. It feels really mature.
He's really like, those like build your footballer, and you'll have someone's feet, someone's legs, someone's body, like their speed, their brain and stuff like this. It's like you've done that and just randomized it, because he has loads of traits that just do not seem to make sense together.
FM, yeah, when you add like, what was it, like adaptability, leadership, you've gone through it. Yeah.
It's bizarre, because like in some veins people would compare him to like Fellaini in the way that he box crashes and the way he can play as like a second fake striker. But in some ways he takes the ball on the half turn and slides passes through the eye of a needle. And yeah, at times he can be incredibly frustrating, but on days like today, he was the calmest man on the pitch, and he was captain as well. So you can see why he was given captaincy today. And yeah, he just kind of dictated play. And especially when we were a little bit rattled at the start of the game, I thought he was very, very smart in knowing when to slow play down and when to speed it up in the way he did, like that pass from Martinelli. And yeah, it's specifically the way he takes the ball on the half turn, to continue what you were saying about, it's not just the adventure in the passing, it's the speed in which he takes the ball on the back foot and then plays the pass.
Yeah.
And which is why he sees spaces and opportunities that other of our players don't, because by the time Odegaard's taken 3 touches, by the time Rice has got his body around the ball, the gaps are closed. But yeah, I know it's Portsmouth, but yeah, this is something Merino is useful for, and why he's not really the defensive mid that people claimed when we played him against Liverpool with Rice and Zubi.
Yeah, he's on a different. I think he's just on a different wavelength to a lot of the other players. I think like Odegaard and Eze, they want to combine close to them. They receive the ball and it's like, okay, who's next to me? Where can I go? Where can I carry? Whereas Marino, it feels like before he's got the ball, he's going, I know that runner's there, and that's where I'm going to. And when you need that difference in mindset, another player to discuss before we come to comments and super chats is Nwaneri, who I thought had a fantastic afternoon, and it's really nice to see a young player who, there's been question marks about him. I've never gone like, oh my god, Nwaneri's cooked or whatever, but there's certainly been question marks about him. He's come through at 15. We're 3 years down the line now. People are starting to say, okay, well, where is this player? What are we seeing? Is it Mikel giving him minutes? Is it the opportunities? But he was given the start today. Again, really, for me, the archetypal feeling of this game is growing into it. And he was the one who I felt really grew into it as the game kind of started to flow through him. He's quick, mate. Nwaneri on the ball. Yeah. He is quick and he looks like he's running downhill. And that's something we don't have in terms of creative midfielders. I think Eze can stride and Odegaard can link, but Nwaneri has the run and that sort of running quality. Like, and I'm not comparing him in other aspects of his game, but like a De Bruyne in that thing where you're running with the ball and you're like, okay, something's about to happen. I love that, and we need that in our team. Thoughts on Nwaneri today?
I actually don't think we saw. So I think he had a very good game, but I don't think it's anywhere near his best. So in both ways, I really, really liked what I saw, but I think there's so much more from him. I think he almost played within himself, but in a good way. He kind of showed Arteta why Arteta can trust him, because out of possession and off the ball, I thought he was really, really good. He kept winning the ball back, was in the right place at the right time. And on the ball was just very efficient. So we've seen probably better performances where he's taken more risks and taken more shots and been slightly less efficient and wasteful. But I think today was very much Arteta's request. Can you do this role for me? And I think, and I hope that Nwaneri has shown, yes, I can. And he deserves more minutes off the back of today. Absolutely. I would like to see him potentially playing against Inter. I don't know how the rotation is going to happen over this next 2 weeks, but Odegaard, I would much rather see 60 or 70 very good minutes from him than playing for the full 90 and have the level drop a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just open to the construction of the midfield. Like, we have a group of midfielders here in Nwaneri, Odegaard, Marino, Rice, Zubimendi. I mean, probably Norgard's more of a centre back at this point. But why can't it be, for a certain period of a game, maybe a second half when we're 1-0 up or something, Odegaard on the left, Nwaneri on the right, and Rice deep or something? It can. I think we can find ways of these guys playing together because they all do have quite different skill sets. I think that we've constructed it quite well. That I still think we miss a really rangy second ball Hoover type midfielder who's maybe not as adventurous in the past and just wins it back for you, possibly, or maybe, I don't know, someone better in possession or whatever. But yeah, I do think Nwaneri can be part of midfield. I don't think it's him or Odegaard. I think they can, especially with the way Odegaard's playing at the minute with a lot of deep touches. Feels like he's going even more, especially in this game, was all phase 8. And I think that's where it's total midfielders, I think Mikel's after. And I think Ethan can begin to get there as well. So yeah, and really pleased.
In games like when Eze got brought on against Liverpool, it would have been interesting. I think in a season or two, then you're looking at Nwaneri saying, is it Nwaneri or Eze? Because Eze came on, didn't make a huge difference. Had Nwaneri come on, who knows what would have happened? I don't know. I don't think he's there in terms of being the first sub in that position, but I think he's certainly getting to that stage.
Yeah. Get your comments in. We'll come to as many as we can before we close the show. Let's come to this from S15.
It's a wild comment.
James. If needed, would you trust Berta to replace Mikel? Say what you think.
Well, initial thought
I know exactly what you're thinking right now, by the way.
Depends if we're talking about his striker talent ID or his manager talent ID. I don't know. This is S15 football. This is not something I've ever considered in my life. I guess my instinct is yes, because Berta is a high-end sporting director, and I assume he's got to this stage by doing things right. But Mikel does not need replacing, and when Mikel needs replacing, that'll be because he walks. I don't think this club are going to sack him anytime soon, if at all, ever.
I think Berta has worked with. I was reading an article earlier from, I think it's Isan Khan in the Mail. I think the amount of influence Mikel has on the club is not common. So I don't know whether Berta would appoint another like manager or maybe appoint another head coach who could grow into a manager, because you kind of need to earn your stripes by. And this is kind of what annoyed me with Ruben Amorim. It's like you have no leg to stand on, mate. Like if you're not winning football matches, how can you walk in and go, actually, I'm going to tell you how to do the physio and how to. It's like you can't do that, mate. Mikel earned that right by what he's done. And Berta has worked with Simeone and Arteta, who are quite all encompassing influence, sort of. I don't want to say, godlike figures, but it's that slightly, you're big, you kind of lead a club. You are the figurehead at a club. And I don't know whether he'd go a different route if we were ever to replace Mikel Arteta, but I did see a shout today, James, from an account that's trolled me before, that the person was saying that they would rather replace Martinelli, they would rather replace Arteta than Martinelli. So there are these out there, James. We may think this is a far out. Maybe we think we're through to the fourth round of the FA Cup, semi-final of the Carabao Cup, we're top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League. These conversations are still happening, mate. So there you go.
This is the problem with the internet. I don't know if people actually believe what
I don't know if it's serious.
Just trying to wind you up.
Who knows?
But maybe these people, often these people exist, and they happen to specifically be barbers. Because if you ever have football conversations with your barber, they never go well.
You have to agree. Well, my haircut doesn't go well either. But you have to agree, because otherwise it's like, well, they're gonna kill you.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? I can't remember. I was having a conversation in a sauna, and this person was a very, very casual football fan. Clearly, those people exist, of course. Nothing wrong with those people. But I really had to dumb down my football knowledge when he was talking about Arsenal. I was like, oh yeah, he's all right, isn't he? He's all right. Rather than go, well, actually, mate, did you see the field tilt? We dominated them. The expected threat during the game.
Yeah, my when God bless him, but when I chat to my partner's dad, that occasionally this is similar. It's like, because it's like you don't want to be like, well, actually, mate, he's a United fan, and he's like, oh shit, mate. I'm like, well, maybe it's the structure of the club. I'm not going to have that conversation. I'm like, yeah, I'll let you have that. Yeah, you're in a sauna. Pause says defenestration for the win.
Saunas are great. Good for you. Very, very good for your health.
Yeah. And Matt says hello, says this sounds like a start of a certain film. SK9 says, me and my barber wanted to save Martial's career for a long time. My barber was
me and my barber, by the way.
Yeah. My barber wanted he was a Galatasaray fan, so he used to just tell me about what was going on, which, fairs.
Wow.
Let's come to some comments. Delusionary visionary. Martinelli Havertz strike partnership? ?
Well, with Calafiori at left back, it is, in a weird, twisted way, Martinelli would be an inside left forward and Havertz would be up front. So it's not a strike partnership in the way that you and I want to call it a strike partnership, but it works in the same way that they'd be close to each other and working off each other. I think we will see that in the Champions League. We need Calafiori back, frankly. We've seen, especially in the Liverpool game, how much we've missed him because, he just does so much for us.
And I think like some of the reaction to the Liverpool game, I think has been a bit much, but some of it I kind of buy in terms of this fullback usage. And I think it's not necessarily about why are all fullbacks stood in those positions. It's that Calafiori can kind of arrive and release, and it creates chaos. That's the point. It's not that you want your fullbacks stationed in there, which it felt like a little bit they were. Whereas Calafiori can arrive into those zones and create underlaps and overlaps, and he is the chaos in our team, and we really missed that. I think Timber kind of went too far into like, well, I'm just going to go and stand here. And that's not quite what we want from the fullbacks. I don't think anyway. I think we got it right at the start of the season, but I think if you'd taken it's like Calafiori is like 60% of that, I would say, and Timber's like 40, if that makes sense, of the sort of the fullback impact on the attacking phase.
Yeah.
So yeah, we certainly do miss him. S15 says, I love Arteta, by the way. I'm saying in case he ever walks. in case he walks.
Do you know? Go on.
No, you go. You go.
Well, I read something recently that upset me, which it said like Arteta isn't the type of manager that wants to stay at a club for an extended period of time. I don't know if you saw that.
Was it the Gunner blog thing? But I think I seem to remember that was like not like an insider info. It was just like something he'd written in the article that got slightly. I could be wrong. So maybe some of the content.
Well, I'm fine then. Now I feel way better.
I think it was like a sort of aggregated thing that someone had found and then blown up a little bit. But
very often the case as well.
Yeah, it's like an opinion that gets reported as like, oh, this is insider club information. Yeah. I think, look, I think it's completely valid to say why, Sir Alex Ferguson and Wenger and stuff, like the intensity, the pressure, the scrutiny. Could you manage that for 2 decades? Could any person manage that for 2 decades and be successful in the most competitive era of the Premier League there's ever been? I don't think so. So I do see a time limit of like probably maximum 12 years, probably.
Well, how long's Pep been there? 10?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that feels like a long time.
That's a long time. So I can't see a manager ever getting to like 15, 20 years anymore. I think probably the max is what Pep's done, and that's with continued success. What I will say though is managers aren't stupid. Well, some of them are. Most managers, good managers, aren't stupid. They will see. Okay, at Arsenal, Mikel has been given influence. He's had to get the results, but he's also been given the influence that he's needed. And I think at a lot of clubs you get, Chelsea, it sounds like you get micromanaged or whatever. I think the best thing for me, when I run a football club, James, when me and you are co-owners of Bournemouth, it's about like, I think for me, it's like getting a head coach in and then going, okay, can you get some results on the field? And then where can your influence go? Because you need to be allowed to grow that influence, but you need to prove yourself first. But not a lot of clubs think like that. They're like, you are the head coach. So you stay there and you stay in your lane. And, or you look at every single club, I think Man United feels like that at the minute. And there's a lot of jobs where it doesn't feel like there's that space to grow into being a manager. Chelsea.
I mean, these same managers are literally going on press conferences and complaining for that exact reason.
Yeah.
They're
saying, head coaches.
Yeah.
And I think Arsenal's one of the few. There are a few, I think probably City is one now. But again, that's Pep. Would they do that with another manager? I don't know. But Arsenal have proven with a rookie manager, there is some space to grow into here. And I think a lot of coaches would look at that, other clubs, and go, and I think Arteta will look at that and go, will I have the same influence if I went and managed Barcelona? Probably not. Yeah. Would I have the same influence if I went and managed PSG? Probably not. So, careful what you wish for.
Just 2 things on that quickly. The Chelsea report about there were agents phoning up Maresca basically saying, why is my client, why is my player not playing enough? Can you imagine if an agent did that to Arteta? They would be out the door so quickly.
Yeah, you just wouldn't.
And also just on this point, finally, I believe Arteta is going to leave this club in a fantastic position. I don't know specifically, of course, maybe the players might have reached the end of their cycle, but if you look at where we are now compared to where he took over, the next manager is going to be in a very nice spot. Like this club is so well rounded behind the scenes. The academy is in so much of a better place, and so I think as a manager, if Arteta left tomorrow, there'd be so many managers looking at it thinking, I would rather join you than United and Chelsea, because it's conducive to success.
Yeah, and for sure. And you need that alignment. And maybe the good place to start to wrap this up is Salmon, who we haven't spoken about yet. I thought it really, really good, really composed. I think to be playing as a defender for Mikel Arteta at 16 years old, that's really, really impressive. That's really impressive. And I think it's tricky, isn't it? Because you kind of you hear of a name or damn or whatever, and you're like you're kind of hoping they're good, so you probably maybe put a bit of a tax on them, like in terms of like what they're doing. But I remember doing this with Dowman in the Brighton game. I was like, no, let me try and watch you like without that, like, oh my god, you're amazing for the academy, like, and he is mustard. I was kind of doing that with Salmon a bit today. I was like, what can I look for sort of in his game? His tempo of pass is really good. He's got the classic Hale End, like, I think firstly versatility, but they all have that usage of their body where they can get in front of their man and stuff like that just consistently. It's really, really good. I'd still need to see way more, but like the early signs, I really love.
I mean, he's 2.5 or 3 years younger than Heaven. And one of the reasons cited for us being comfortable selling Heaven is because we had this guy who was 15 at the time. And we said, don't worry, we'll be fine. We have an academy guy coming through who is really good.
Yeah.
And 16 years old, looks so composed. And one of the first things he did was like a proper meaty challenge on a guy. And I'm thinking, yeah, absolutely. And these aren't pity minutes. These are deserved minutes. He looks comfortable in the team. So delighted to see him. And yeah, it's a shame Dalman's still injured, I think. But he'll be back soon. And we'll see, maybe against Kairat. Well, maybe that'll come too soon.
Lucky boy. We'll finish there. Thank you, James, for joining us. Pleasure as always. Who are you hoping to get in the 4th round?
How many teams are there left?
Should we get Macclesfield? Spankham? Did you watch that?
Let's have a quick look. No, I didn't watch that game.
Sure. I watched the last sort of half an hour or so.
Definitely some poor teams. Oh, Brighton are beating Man United as well. That's good.
Here we are. Here, I'll give you the list. Oh god, 32 teams long. Wolves, Southampton, Villa, Port Vale, Wigan, Ipswich, Wrexham, Chelsea, City, West Ham United, or Queen's Park Rangers, Brentford. Oh no, hang on. This is old. Ignore me, and I'm not going to read that.
Do you know what?
Grimsby Town. Let's have them.
You were really nearly doing that. You know the final score when they used to announce all the scores.
Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Southampton 2.
Thank you. I would take someone irrelevant. You get no extra points from playing against good teams. Give me Mansfield.
Yeah, give me an easy one. Grimsby. We're
going on a away trip to Grimsby.
Shall we? Me, you, and the boys at Grimsby away. We'll finish here. Arsenal are first in the Champions League, first in the Premier League. I had a joke. I'm not going to say it. Carabao Cup semi-final and into the 4th round of the FA Cup.
How many more rounds are there in the FA Cup?
Cooking. I think there is a 5th round, then a quarter-final, I believe. That's a good question. How many rounds?
4 more games. So there are 7 more possible domestic games, if that is the case.
I just Googled how many rounds are there. Come on. There's 12 rounds, but hang on. So it goes... 5th round, quarterfinals, semi-finals, final.
Okay.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games.
We're going to have a lot of fixtures this year. It is a good job we signed all those players, isn't it?
Tipsy says. Do we say it? Do we say it, James? Think how good the clip would be. Think about our egos, mate. I'm calling it. We're not winning the quadruple. No chance. Just before we finish, what do you think we win?
The Premier League and I can't say we're going to win the treble. I think we'll win the Premier League and the Carabao.
That was my answer. Yeah, I think we're going to win the. I hate to do this. I have a feeling we're going to have like a bit of a disaster in the Champions League. Like we're going to draw someone easy and like something's going to happen. But we're going to win the Premier League and the Carabao. So no
Imagine the quadruple trophy parade. That's going to be so good. I'll see you all there.
See you there. Thank you all for joining us on the Cannon Podcast. Check out AFC J. Well, do you want to plug yourself on various
AFC JXMES on Twitter? And do not hold me to the standards that this channel is held to, because these are not the standards.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here, James. Thanks so much for watching. And thanks for keeping it, Sir James.
Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. This was one kind of queue the ladies thoroughly enjoyed.
Electrifying. Inspiration.